All right. Happy Wednesday to each and every one of you. I am the Reverend Martin Buquette, who serves as the pastor of St. James AME Church. And guess what, y'all? I am excited tonight. It is our Women's History Month panel. We are finally here. You know, we have been doing this for now 3 years, and every round goes higher and higher. So this is what I want everybody to do who's watching right now. Take a moment, go on your social media platforms and share the St. James AME Church Live Oak stream, and also go to YouTube and send that link out to let everybody know we are on live. I'm excited. We have an amazing panel tonight, an amazing discussion that you do not want to miss. This is what you need to do. I need you to find all of your friends, your family, tell them that St. James is on live. As a matter of fact, I've told you to share. Let me do the same thing and share as well. I want those of you who are already online to say hello to me. I want to say hey back to you because we're excited. Listen, last year was absolutely amazing. We had an amazing time. I'm talking about we had over 2,000 views, and I believe every round goes higher and higher and higher. Last year, we talked about AI Woman, talked about faith and culture, and tonight we are talking about Still I Rise, which is penned from the poem of Maya Angelou, where she talks about a lot of things, and I think you're going to hear about it tonight. Listen, listen. Can you tell I'm excited? Can you tell I am overjoyed? Can you tell that I'm happy that we are here once again? Time really does fly. I have everybody on tonight, and I know that I heard from Sister Cooper. Sister Cooper said that she will be watching. And as a matter of fact, let me get on to see who's on so that I can say hello to you. If you would shout your name out, tell me where you're watching from. I see Brother Jay is watching. I see Amber Shantae is watching. I see Devontavia Wilson is watching. Y'all say something to me. Hello, hello, hello. I'm looking for those people in Live Oak as well, Tallahassee. I'm actually waiting on my mama. When my mama gets on, we can get started. So I'm excited again. We have been having an amazing time. As you all remember, this first Sunday in March, the Reverend Betty J. Watson was in, and she preached God's holy word. And also, she was the chief celebrant. She consecrated the holy elements. I'm talking about we had the greatest time. We had the greatest time. Sister Howard, I see you, Sister Howard. I see you, Sister Latasha Cooper. Hey to you, hey to you. I see you, Candy Reed from Louisiana. I see you from Tennessee, Dante. Miss Mitchell, I see you. Hey, y'all, keep saying hey to me. I'm excited. Hello, hey Amber. Hey Amber, she's excited about the am excited as well. Good evening to you all. Look, you all, we've been doing this and we've been working together. They've been dealing with me for the last month, and I am just excited to have each and every one of these panelists with me tonight. I mean, we've just gone through so much. I am thankful for each panelist. Let me pause to say thank you to each panelist that said yes. And I'm talking about from the facilitator down to all of that. I am just excited. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to get ready to introduce our facilitator in just a minute, but I would be remiss if I didn't even talk about all the things that St. James has going on since you all are on tonight. Y'all keep saying hello to me. Jessica watching. Jessica's watching. As a matter of fact, before y'all do that, y'all tell me who you're representing. I know we've got a whole bunch of people on the panel tonight. Say their names. Say their names. Shout them out. Shout them out. But listen, you all, while they're doing that, I have to say this. We have so much that's still going on. As we are closing out Women's History Month, we are getting ready to go into April, and I've got to talk about all of those announcements. Number one, you all know that we have Resurrection Sunday. We also have the dual day worship experience April, fourth Sunday in April. So please come out. Those of you who are on, go ahead and click that share button. I am excited, and I want to bring on the one and only our chief facilitator, Ashleigh Irving. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about Ashleigh. Now, Ashleigh, read your bio. I read your bio, but I'm going to talk. I'm going to go off script for just a minute. One of the things that I often do is I literally pay attention to small details. Sometimes I always get it right. Sometimes I don't always get it right. But one of the things that I love about Miss Ashleigh Irving, during the pandemic, she really of the church I was a part of, New Mount Zion at the time. And one of the things that she does that is absolutely authentic, that anytime Ashleigh is in worship, her hand is lifted. Her hand is always lifted, and that is a natural posture of worship and thanksgiving. No, she's not singing so somebody can see her. She's not singing because she can sing well, but she is doing it as a reasonable service. I mean, I'm not there all the time, but anytime I get to walk in at New Mount Zion, I would look over and Ashleigh's hand would be lifted. And that speaks volumes of what that really means, where her heart is, her heart posture, the reason why she does what she does. I mean, I'm talking about she is a worshiper. And there is nothing more greater than someone being a worshiper, because God wants our worship. And you know how we know this? Even Satan recognizes how important worship is, because there are times that Satan has said, if you would worship me, because of how powerful worship is. And there goes Ashleigh, hand lifted, and she is in worship. Although she may be on the praise stage singing whatever song, but she's actually worshiping the Almighty God. And I am grateful that I can invite someone to be the facilitator who is a worshiper. And God will honor your worship, Miss Ashleigh Irving. And I'm thankful. I'm telling you, I was going to do a whole little thing. I have pictures from New Mount Zion, and I went to see every time I took a picture of the praise team or took a picture of you, your hand was up in worship. You can go and see it for yourself. You can go on the New Mount Zion page and you can look at all the pictures, and your hand would be lifted in worship. Look, she runs a major organization for the state of Florida, Florida Department of Health. She is a rattler. Go Rattlers, go Rattlers, go Rattlers, go Rattlers. Look, I'm telling you, she's a rattler. I am telling you, she is the lady for the job. Before I hand it over to Miss Ashleigh Irving, listen, I see y'all still talking. I see somebody said it's in her blood. It's in her blood. Hey, Sister Gail, I see it. Hey there to you. Recognize that how important this is, the narrative, to talk about this. As a Black man, I cannot sit silent and not allow women, especially Black women, to come forward and speak truth. I was raised by a strong Black woman. And for the rest of my life, if the Lord allows me, this is something that will continue to be a part of my ministry wherever God takes me. Miss Ashleigh Irving, again, thank you so much for taking the time to say yes. We are excited. The people are commenting already. The show is yours. Have a good time. God bless.
Thank you so much, Pastor Bouquet. To God be the glory. Good evening, everyone. I have to first start by thanking God for the things that He has done. And I also want to honor Pastor Marvin Bouquet for allowing me to be here today to celebrate Women's History Month as we reflect on the incredible resilience, strength, and triumphs of women throughout history. We center our conversation tonight around Maya Angelou's iconic poem, Still I Rise. Many of you know that Maya Angelou was a great poet, activist, and storyteller who used her words to uplift and empower generations. She overcame adversity from a traumatic childhood to racial and gender discrimination, and yet she still rose, becoming one of the most influential voices of the 20th and 21st century. Her poem, Still I Rise, is a testament to the unbreakable spirit of Black women. It speaks to resilience, faith, and the ability to overcome oppression. Tonight, we honor that spirit by engaging in a conversation with an extraordinary panel of Black women who exemplify what it means to rise despite the challenges, despite the setbacks, and despite the barriers placed before them. I'm going to give a brief introduction to our panelists, just so you know who we have here with us tonight. I'm going to start with Staniqua Clark. Staniqua, who prefers to be called Nequa, is an Atlantic Beach, Florida native, a member of the St. Paul AME Mayport Church under the leadership of Reverend Melinda Samuels. In August of 2021, she answered her call to the ministry under the leadership of Reverend Melinda Samuels. In May 2022, she preached her initial sermon titled, You Are Pearl, Proverbs 31. Nequa was admitted to the Board of Examiners during the 148th session of the East Annual Conference. She currently serves as the youth pastor at St. Paul AME Mayport and St. James AME Orange Park. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of North Florida in Political Science and International Studies with a concentration in law. She has had prior matriculation at Florida Coastal School of Law, while at UNF, she was a member of Kappa Alpha Theta sorority and involved with the campus's pre-law mentoring program in various organizations. In her professional life, Nequa is an experienced entrepreneur, owning a purity lifestyle organization called Diamondeer and a local bakery in Jacksonville alongside her mother called DMP Cupcakery. She currently is employed by one of the top law firms in Jacksonville and currently serves as a local guardian ad litem. She aims to help create spaces and places for youth and young adults to evolve spiritually through entrepreneurship, love, and mentorship. Welcome to Ms. Clark. Next up, we have Raven Gaines. Raven Gaines is a devoted 31-year-old woman of faith, actively serving as a member of the New Bethel AME Church in Lakeland, Florida, under the leadership of Reverend Dr. Nathan Mugala. Professionally, she has navigated patient care at Lakeland Regional Health Hospital and Polk County Health Care for 8 years. Beyond her healthcare role, Raven dedicates herself to various leadership positions within the AME Church, including local lay president, area WMS first vice president, West Coast Conference Lay Organization Young Adult Representative, and 11th Episcopal District RAYAC President. Recently graduating from the Women's Missionary Society Emerging Leaders Institute, Raven also successfully ventures into entrepreneurship with her business Sugar Ray's Sweet Treats and More. Guided by 1 Corinthians 10 and 31, she prioritizes honoring God in all aspects of her life, cherishing her faith, family, and community. Therefore, whatever you eat or drink, or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Ms. Gaines. Next, we have Amber Nicole Tooks. Amber is a dynamic entrepreneur, beauty expert, and visionary consultant, passionate about helping individuals and businesses shine their brightest. She currently serves as the strategic manager for the Division of Medical Quality Assurance at the Florida Department of Health, where she leads initiatives to elevate public awareness and engagement. Amber's expertise in strategic communication and branding has made her an integral part of her team's success. She's currently leading a statewide program that requires background screenings for all healthcare professionals by July 1st of 2025. As the founder of Amber Nye Beauty, she specializes in hair care, braiding, and makeup services. Amber is dedicated to her craft. She's earned her reputation for excellence and personalized service. Amber's also a co-founder of Graceful Promise, a venture that embodies her commitment to faith-driven initiatives and community upliftment. Through this platform, she continues to inspire others and live purposefully and impactfully. In addition to her work in beauty and marketing, Amber believes in empowering others to present their best selves with authenticity and confidence. As a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, where she serves on the grant writing STEP team and the Founders Day committees, Amber is able to utilize her connections to uplift and strengthen the Black community. When Amber isn't working on her business ventures, she's reading God's word and serving on the praise team and in the mass choir at the New Mount Zion AME Church in Tallahassee, Florida, under the leadership of Reverend Michael E. Bell Jr. Miss Amber Tooks. Next, we have Mallory Ross. Mallory is a graduate of the University of West Georgia, where she earned a bachelor's degree in biology, and Thomas University, where she completed her master's in education. She currently serves as an instructional coach, where she leverages her expertise to support and inspire both students and educators in the areas of science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. A proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Mallory is also deeply involved in her church, having previously held several leadership positions. Her dedication to education, community service, and leadership shines through in every aspect of her life as she works to create innovative learning experiences and foster growth in both her professional and community roles. Mallory is a member of the St. Mark AME Church in Thomasville under the leadership of Reverend Sharon Jackson. Welcome, ladies. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As we begin each section of our discussion tonight, I will share a few lines from the iconic Still I Rise to help guide our conversation. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. When you hear the phrase, still I rise, what does it mean to you? I like to start with Nikwa.
That means to me that God has equipped me to be resilient regardless of what happens. No matter what I go through in life, nothing is ever going to be meant to take me out, but it's always going to be the fuel that I need to continue to be elevated and continue to go forward, knowing that I may just be down for a moment, but I'm planted and I'm going to blossom back up regardless. So I always will rise.
Yes, and still we rise.
Mm-hmm.
Raven?
Still I rise means to me that, no matter what life throws at you, the difficulties, personally with me just turning 31, I can say that 30 was a lot. I was thrown a lot of obstacles. I was faced with a lot of challenges mentally, physically, and emotionally. But no matter what, God allowed me to still be here. So just knowing that no matter what, God has a plan and a purpose for my life, and no matter what you throw at me, still I rise.
Yes. Happy belated birthday to you, Raven. I also want to say happy birthday to Amber Tooks as well. Amber, do you have anything that you would like to add about Still I Rise?
Thank you, Ashleigh. And happy belated birthday, Raven. It's my birthday twin. we are really twins for real because 30 almost took me out too. It was a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. As one of my good friends told me last night, she said, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And I think that with me always being someone who always gives and always feel like, okay, dang, I'm not receiving it. Either way, I'm still rising above it because that's just how the Lord made me. But yeah, trials, triumphs, they all come and go throughout our lives. And it's just a matter of how you rise above it. So that's what I have to say.
Mallory?
I agree with a lot of the other ladies. It's about perseverance, taking the challenges that life throws at me and facing them head on. A lot of days for me, still I rise simply means just getting up out of the bed and putting my best foot forward. Making sure that I'm prioritizing myself because a lot of times I think we forget to do that. So depending on the situation, the season, still I rise for me may mean a little bit of a different thing. So not letting certain circumstances take me and just remembering to find my joy in whatever it is that I'm doing.
And that's the perfect lead into my next question. Black women often face unique challenges in our personal and our professional lives. Can you share a time when you faced adversity and how you rose above it? I don't know if you want to keep going, Mallory, or if anybody else wants to take it.
Yeah, I'll start. So I'm not 30 like some of the other ladies, but last year was probably really one of the most difficult years of my adult life. Um, let's see. I ended a long-term relationship. My car totaled, and then I lost my grandmother. So last year was and I'm trying not to cry, but last year was very hard for me. So that was one of the most challenging years of my life. Just trying to pull myself together and still make sure that I finished the school year strong for my students. I had a leader who was very adamant about test scores because at the end of the day, I still have a job to do. So my personal life is my personal life. And when I come to work, I have to work. So I was able to face adversity because my students were able to meet our goal. I was able to come out on top. And looking back, I honestly thought that was one of my worst years in education. But looking back on it, I can really say that that was my but God year, because I don't know how I made it through that year without God, without relying on my faith, without relying on some of the women in my school to really uplift me through the rest of the school year. So yeah, I came out on top. My school was on the failing school list. We came out the failing school list. The test scores were one of the highest test scores of the school year. So I feel like coming into that and just relying on God. I drove to school a lot of days crying and praying and crying from school and to school. But because of my faith, I was able to face that adversity and come out on top, me and my students.
That's so true because as women of faith, we have this intersectionality that's not often discussed, right? We have this cross between being a woman and being a professional and being a woman of faith. And we have, still challenges like many others. Sometimes people think because you're in the church that you don't face any of those challenges, that you are not put forth in that way. So it's awesome to hear that you were able to put your faith first. And I'm wondering if any of the other ladies were able to overcome adversity, through sisterhood. Because, right, having a good group of women around you can really change how you're feeling. Anybody want to expound on sisterhood?
Yeah, I will. So I had a particular instance at a previous job where I knew that I had a coworker who was not qualified as I was, that was getting paid more than I was based upon the color of their skin. And to know that I was working this job, putting my blood, sweat, and tears into it, and to find that out, I was very distraught for a moment and frustrated. Like, God, what? Like, how could this happen to me? Like, what? Like, I went to school and did all of this stuff, and here this person is just not, no shade or no offense, but just came off of the street and they got the same job I got, and they're getting paid more than me. This is not you. But luckily and thankfully, I had some sisters that worked with me in the same field, and we would just pray and just keep each other encouraged. And God opened a door at the firm that I'm currently at right now, where I came to this job and I didn't have to interview for it. I literally came in and HR was like, you know, the job is yours. This is just more so a question of like, what is it that you need from us and how much do we need to pay you? And I was just so grateful and so blessed in staying like faithful through the process and just really trusting my sisters, because it was my sisters that opened the door with God for me to even get the opportunity at the law firm that I'm currently at. So um, it's sometimes it's not what you know, but it's who you know, and making sure that you have sisters that can really go into war with you spiritually, not just in the good times, but in the bad times, in the hard times, in the moments where your faith may be weak, but you have people around you whose faith is strong to fill the gaps in for you when you can't fill in for yourself.
And that is so powerful.
So.
Any other ladies?
I agree. For me, I do have a circle of a sister circle, if you will say. And I feel like I have several different groups of sister circles, but each one of those groups definitely uplift me, like Staniqua said, when like when I'm weak, they're the ones that I lean on. I also have my sorority sisters, my line sisters. It was 78 of us, and yeah, I have gained 77 sisters. It's great to see how people's different perspective of sisterhood, and sometimes what you think you can offer someone in a sisterly way, it may not always be what that person needs, and it may not be what that person needs, but someone else in your circle might need it. So I think it's just all about learning how to give people what they need in the moment, and letting them receive it however they can.
I agree with the ladies, but I I have to be that one. Um, Growing up was a little different for me, because majority of my childhood and some of my adulthood, I've been like a PK. And a lot of people like to hang with PKs because we have like a different level of, oh, you can't do this, oh, you can't do that. At work, I walked into leadership at a very early stage. I've been at my job now. This year will actually be 9, and within my second year, I was already in a leadership position. And as a Black woman, a lot of people didn't like that. Um, so I couldn't really lean on too many people at work. In church, um, yeah, I leaned on people, but come to find out later on, they weren't the right people to lean on. And personally, I've had up and down in friendships. Not saying that I'm the problem, but realizing as the older I got, realizing that God just placed some people in your life for a season and not a reason. So at this point in my life, I have my circle is extremely small, but I'm grateful that in this past year, I found people that I could surround myself to keep me lifted as well as I keep them lifted. Um, because, like you say, it's good to have that sisterhood, but also having that discernment that everybody is not your sister. So I'm grateful for the one or two people that I can call my sister, that I can call and lean on, as far as, they can also lean on me. and I could be that sister to them as well.
Sisterhood is such a blessing to me. I'm the youngest of 8 in total. I have 4 sisters, and I'm the youngest in that group, and our bond is tight. So I believe I carry that over into my friendships as well. And in previous years, I had difficulty with my female friendships, but over the past few years, I've been able to find sisterhoods and just find this bond emotionally, mentally amongst this group of women who we're going through the same thing, and not necessarily Black women too. I want to specify that, especially in the work setting. I have just found a bond of sisterhood, of women lifting up women, and I absolutely love what I have found. But you are correct. You have to have that discernment, and I pray for that discernment every single day from the Lord on who to know to let into my circle and who needs to make their way out. I want to pivot a little bit to politics and discuss the 2020 presidential election. It was historic, okay? We saw Kamala Harris, and she was our first Black and South Asian woman to serve as vice president. I want to know what that moment meant to you all personally, and what impact do you think that it had on Black women in America?
Personally, I felt that one, I was amazed and I was proud at that moment to be a Black woman, because who would have who would have thought? I felt empowered, and I felt like her doing that empowered a lot of women um, to face the fact that, we can do it despite what they say. We're here and we can do it, despite we're not going anywhere. We are capable to do many things, including run the world. So I felt like that was a major movement despite the outcome. It was a major movement in showing the resilience and the empowerment of Black women.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I know as a teacher, we always tell the kids, like, you could be anything, you could be the president, you can be such and such. And for her to actually hold that position, I feel like that really made that statement true. Like, now little girls can see themselves in this position because Kamala did it. So a lot of times, Black women are underrepresented in a lot of these positions. So them being able to see someone who looks like them is now giving them the encouragement that I can do the same thing she did. So regardless of all the things that may be against me, if Kamala did it, I can do it too.
That's right. And sometimes we speak about children and them being able to see someone in the role, but we also need to think about other women as well, people our own age who are encouraged and inspired by being able to see someone in a higher role. I know I'm in a management role at my job, and I was almost stunned at the number of people who looked like me, who came up to me about me being in the position. I understand the position that I hold and what it means to people that look like me, so I hold it with high regard. Yeah. I want to push forward a little bit to the 2024 presidential election, where we saw Kamala Harris rise to the challenge. She stepped up and saved the Democratic Party with only 104 days until Election Day. Now, despite her efforts of being the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party, she was ultimately not successful in her run. And I want to know, how did you feel on Election Day after you heard those results? And what was the atmosphere like in your community?
For me, I was, of course, sad because, of course, we want to see another sister get into the place. But after looking back on it, I'm like, but a win is still a win, because ultimately she still showed that Black women, we truly are limitless, you know? So even if she didn't make it to where she needed to be, she still set the stage and set the example of it doesn't matter what happens. If it's your dream, still go after it. And I do believe that this isn't the end of her. I feel like we're gonna see her again. And I think that to me, for the women around me, that's what sparked us and gave us hope that this is not the end all be all. Like she has now made a trailblazing path in spite of it all.
I like to think that Kamala is somewhere taking care of herself, honestly. Many of you are women in leadership, and we oftentimes have to step in a time of crisis. There's a big push to get something done yesterday. And we saw her on the national stage moving this country forward. As leaders, how do you prioritize self-care? She held, seats in the highest office of the nation and of the world. How would even you, if you were in her role, would you be taking care of yourself now? Many of you have so much on your resume. You're entrepreneurs. You have regular jobs. You're a part of your church and several different leadership roles. What do you do for self-care?
I'm still learning. And that's my
Yes.
honest answer. I
Yes.
can't, that's why I'm still learning. I sadly I literally have to be told to sit down, to take a weekend, to take a day. Like I was adamant. I had to continuously remind people last week, hey, this weekend, leave me alone. Simple as that. Leave me alone. Because you will allow everyone to pull you every direction. And that's work, church, and personally. And I feel like all of us on here, we are people that give our all to everyone and nothing for ourselves. So I'm proud to say at 31, I'm still learning to do self-care. Please pray with me. Pray with me and pray for me.
Yeah.
Yes. Pray with and for me too, because as I said earlier, I give and give and give and give and give, and I never try to pour back into myself. So it's something I'm still learning. I would love to hear anyone's suggestions on self-care outside of stop and take a break, because sometimes the break is not enough.
Yes. So I'm 35 and I'm just now getting to the point to where I'm realizing what self-care looks like for me. I think that you have to kind of like give yourself grace and the flexibility when it comes to your self-care, because what may fulfill you in one season for self-care may not be what fulfills you in the next. I know for me, like she was saying, we pour ourselves out and we give ourselves so much, and we're so used to just giving, giving, giving that we don't take the time to pause. And at least for me, what was happening is that I would wait till the point to where I'm like completely burned out and then saying, okay, now I need to like take a break because I'm going to explode. But what I have been intentional about doing is at least once a month, taking half a day or a day off just to do something for myself. And I've created new healthy boundaries for myself, which helps me daily. After 10 o'clock, I do not touch my phone. I do not go on social media. I do not allow any text messages, no phone calls. Like, no. Like, I just need a moment just for me. And sometimes it looks like I may have to just take an hour out of the day and just go sit outside and journal or sit for a moment in the silence just to hear quiet. And that's what helps. But you have to just figure out sometimes what you need and know that it's okay if you have to just take 5 minutes or 10 minutes to just go and be quiet, or take those 5 or 10 minutes to just not do anything or not talk to anybody, because you can't run on fumes. Nobody wants to run and operate on fumes, because then it just becomes deadly, not only to yourself, but to the people around you. And you never, at least for me, I never want to be in the posture or the position where I am like loving on people and teaching people off of fumes when I'm not fully charged and at my best, because that's just too detrimental to me. The assignment is too heavy for that. So.
Absolutely. I want to go to the chat for a minute. JL says that, and if you are an overachiever and or a woman of color who is always doing the most, one can feel guilty just to rest or to be. And this is so true. I'm discovering that I'm probably the oldest one here tonight, but I have learned in my role to set healthy boundaries, to designate times of the day to say, go out on a walk or just pull away from the information. It's okay to say no, because when you don't, then you will break yourself down. And we all know we cannot pour from an empty glass. I heard you say that you give and give and give, but if you never pour into yourself, then you will not have anything to give. That actually pivots us to the next section of our discussion, which is about leadership and legacy. The excerpt from Still I Rise says, just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Each of you is a leader in your field. How do you define leadership, and what qualities do you believe are essential for Black women in leadership? I want to start with Nico on this, because I heard you talking a little bit about your coworker and that pay gap, which, as women, we deal with that pay gap. But again, there's that intersectionality between being Black and being a woman. And so you guys were doing the same job, you had the same credentials, so I'm just curious to hear your feedback about Black women in leadership.
So one thing that I will say that I've come to learn about being a Black woman in leadership is that for us, we have to always be on our P's and Q's. I don't know if my other counterparts feel this way, but I've come to the realization, even recently in work, that even once we get a seat at the table, we still have to work to keep that seat at the table. It's not, and sometimes it is sad, because we have people who get the same seat at the table and they don't have to work. They just get to float around and they've made it. Versus for us, sometimes we have to continuously work to show why we're deserving of that seat. And we shouldn't have to do that, because the resume of who we are already showed why we were supposed to be at the table to begin with. And I think for us as Black women in leadership roles, we have to just constantly stay, one, prayed up and spiritually sound in who we are. Two, you have to be very bold and confident in whatever position that you're in. At least for me in my field, you don't really see that many melanin women doing what I do. And there's always somebody that's trying to, in a nice, nasty way, either undermine you, that will try to throw you off of your game in some sort of way. And you have to just be graceful and hold on to your pearls, but remind them, just like you have that degree, I have that same degree on my wall, okay? But we as women, we have to get back to the place of just owning our boldness and our authority, and knowing that once we are in those positions, we're there for a reason, and we have to continue to press forward and like making those milestones, and just know that what we're doing is not in vain, because we're still the next person that's making that stride, so somebody else can stand on our shoulders after we transition on.
Absolutely. How can our communities help to support the next generation of Black women leaders?
I feel like we just have to make sure we have open and transparent conversations. A lot of times, we get in these positions, and for the people up under us, or the next generation, it may seem like, everything is rainbows and sunshine because they don't realize the work and the struggle that it took to get there. So having those open, honest, transparent conversations, like, I didn't get here overnight. Like, it took some effort, it took some sweat, it took some tears to get to where I am. So just being honest and sharing those experiences so that you are reminding the next generation that you're still human. You made mistakes, you had failures too, but at the end of the day, you didn't just fail. You took those failures and you used them to build the success that you have now. So I feel like a lot of times we want to paint this pretty picture, and that's not going to help the next generation. We need to make sure that we are telling them those struggles and sharing those experiences that we had that made us the people that we are and put us in the positions that we're in today.
Absolutely. I want to hear from Raven on this topic, but before we do, I want to go to the chat. JL says, our tears, positioning ourselves with assertion and taking up space is a challenge, but that is why we're there, to bring our brilliance and our honesty to the environment. A key, not the key, is not to get emotional. It's such a mind game. We're built different. No gatekeeping. Raven?
Um, mm, I agree on everything that has been said so far. Um, Especially, like you say, we definitely are built different. Adding on to what Nico said, adding on to what Mallory said, include all of that. And then the one thing that I would add is patience. Because sometimes as Black women, we're watched. Um, and what's the word that they use now? Crash out. So be careful not to crash out, and having that patience to deal with, but also to know that, hey, you got this. Um, because, well, yeah, just knowing that we got this. And then secondly, to what Mallory said, having those conversations, but not only having those conversations, I'm at a state where I want to invite them with me. Like, hey, you're going to go on this journey with me, because I can't do this alone, one, and I can't do this forever. So you are the next generation. You are the ones coming behind us to fulfill these positions, these roles, in every aspect of your life. So you need to come along so you can see. It's not easy, but do trust that you can do it. Don't be a crash out. You got this.
Ashley, I think we lost you. Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Can you ladies hear me? All right, perfect. I wanted to know about mentorship and what you think about mentorship, because I heard Redmond talking about bringing those ladies along. That's what we're doing tonight, continuing this conversation about women and our resilience and our strength. Do any of you have a mentor, and what impact did your mentor have on you, whether it be professionally or, just in your personal life? This could even be a woman in the church.
Oh, I have and they know not to take offense if they're listening. I have an old lady gang. So my my old lady gang, and I have a few. It's really a gang. They will call me or I will call them. Um, Honestly, they're the ones that I can truly cry with, because they've been there before, so they understand. Um, they push me. they have me doing things that I would have never thought I can do. They have me believing that I can do things that I never thought I could do. They have had a super major impact in my life. If it wasn't for them, not excluding my parents and God, but if it really wasn't for them, I really wouldn't be in half of the seats that I'm in right now and at half of the tables, not just eating an appetizer, but they have me in positions where I'm eating a full course meal. And now my task is to continue, like I want to say it was Nico said, to continue to stay at that table and continue to indulge on that full course meal, maybe even add a dessert or two to it. So shout out to my old lady gang. They are definitely my mentors that keep me pushing in this thing called life.
Yes. And I also have an old lady gang, but I call them my pearls of wisdom. And I consider my mom, she's definitely one of my mentors. And along with I'm one of those people that I feel like I have to have multiple mentors depending on where I'm at and what I'm doing. So that's one thing I will say is that I feel like you're never too old to have a mentor because there's always things that we need to learn in life. So I have a mentor specifically just for entrepreneurship. I have a mentor specifically just for my bakery. I have a mentor for law. I have a mentor for my spiritual path. I think mentors are very, very important and they're vital because, again, like Ray said, they are able to see the things that you don't necessarily always see because they have been on this life a little bit longer. They're able to help give you the course correction so that you don't make the same mistakes or same pitfalls that they may have. But then they're also able to help push you to reach those dreams that maybe they weren't necessarily able to reach, but they know that they can pour into you to help you become the greatest and the best version of yourself. So yes, I definitely think that mentors are needed and they're vital.
I don't have like a formal mentor-mentee relationship, but I do look to my former AP as a mentor. I live in Atlanta, so and I'm an educator in Atlanta. So if you know, you know. When I moved from a small town, my mom asked everybody in the church to pray for me because, it's rough. So when I got to my school, I'm small framed. I'm 5'1", and I went to teach middle school. So I feel like my AP didn't think I could handle the position, but day one, the associate superintendent came to my room and we were rocking and rolling. So from that day, she kind of took me under her wing and they called me Lil Glover from that day. So I feel like mentorship to me is just sharing experiences again. And my mentor, my AP never sugarcoated anything for me. So if I was messing up and I needed to fix something, she let me know. She shared anything or any knowledge that she had, but it was the way she carried herself. And because of the way she carried herself, I wanted to carry myself with that same posture. So I credit a lot of my success, even the position that I'm in right now, to the mentorship that I had when I was that middle school teacher. So I'm newly outside the classroom, and a lot of that is to the guidance and the mentorship that I received when I was a teacher in the classroom.
I'm also kind of like Mallory. I have unofficial or yeah, I'll say unofficial mentors. People who they don't know that they are my mentors, but I look up to them and I try and take bits and pieces of what they have poured into me or shown me in life. My mom is one of them, and I'm not sure if she's watching or not, but hey, Ma. She has always been someone to carry herself so gracefully, and I've always wanted to be like her. My godmother is another one. She's both of my godmothers actually. One is a first lady, was a first lady, and she's now a consultant for the AME Church. And also my godmother who lives here in Tallahassee. She is a cosmetologist, and that is honestly where I got my love for beauty, my love for styling care, and wanting to just really kind of put that care into the service that I provide. Um, but I would like to speak about, being the mentor. I think we talk about being mentees, but not about being the mentor. In my previous role, I had about 5 students under me at FAMU, and they told me later on after I left, they're like, we really appreciate you guiding us and leading us and showing us how things were going on and how the process was for the law program, because I had no clue that, this is what we needed to do. And, we just appreciate you taking us under your wing and being there for us. And I mean, I remember I had one student who had gotten into a car accident, and I was at work, and he called me. He was like, please come get me because my parents are not here. He's from Atlanta. And he was just like, I'm a little bit scared because I don't know what to do in this situation. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do in this situation either, but I don't want you to be by yourself. So I think little impacts like that matter to people who look up to you. So that's my take on mentorship.
Absolutely. I want to go to the chat really quickly. We have a question from Jessica Costello. Hi, Jessica. This is my friend, and she says, how do you find a mentor if you're already at an age where you could be one? That's a great question. She also left a comment, actually tell your story of your pathway to becoming an ED of so many regulatory boards. It's a great lesson on perseverance. It's a great lesson about knowing your worth and capabilities and not giving up. Honestly, my story is all about sisterhood. I found a great mentor who happened to look like me. I shadowed them. Like Amber mentioned, I don't even believe they knew they were my mentor until I officially asked a few years later, for them to be my mentor. But I watched them, I shadowed them, and I took a chance. And again, all of my sisterhood in my career was not surrounded by people who look like me. In fact, I was in battles with people who look like me, right? I'm just going to be blunt about it. I was fighting with the Black women, and it was women not of color who were lifting me up, telling me that I can go forward, that I can do this, I would be great in this role, even in times when I was doubting myself. So the sisterhood didn't have a color to me, and I learned my lesson. They have this saying, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And so I learned that firsthand. Yeah, did anyone want to address the question about the mentor, finding a mentor when you could be one?
I would say even for myself, like I mentor people right now, but I still need a mentor, even though I am mentoring people, because again, depending on where you are in life and for me, everybody that mentors me, they are ahead of me. So even though I'm mentoring somebody underneath me, I'm ahead of them, but then I still need somebody who's ahead of me who can help me see 5 years, 10 years from now, So I think you just have to be one, discerning and wise, and realize that not everybody can mentor you. Not everybody is the one qualified to mentor you. So you have to really make sure that you are being discerning in that sense of, does this person reflect where I'm trying to be? Does this person reflect or exude the characters and the quality in which who I am and align with me and the type of person or the type of woman that I want to be? But I don't necessarily think that mentorship is stunted. You just have to be forever realize that the world is your classroom and you're always a student, and you're always going to need somebody to just guide your hand, even if it's just for a moment. And even if you are at the top of your game, there's still somebody that's higher up than you are that you can learn from.
That's awesome. We have a response in the chat from JL to Jessica Costello. Perhaps age isn't the defining factor of the mentor-mentee relationship. It's about what other people can teach you, be it confidence, skill, or otherwise. I think that takes me to my next question for the ladies. Ministry is oftentimes associated with preaching from the pulpit, but many of the most impactful ministries happen outside of the church. As Black women, how do you see your role in ministry beyond the pulpit, through your work, through your community service, through your personal relationships, and how do you continue to minister to others through your everyday life?
Well, I'll go. As you mentioned in my bio, Ashleigh, I have graceful promise, and it is something that my good friend and sister, one of those people who are also in my sister circles, Maria, the both of us came up with that idea, probably about 2 years ago. And it started out with us just like wanting to like host faith-based events because there's not a lot of faith-based events in Tallahassee. However, we've decided that this is something that the events lead to community. And through your community, community is something that you have with people who share commonalities and all of those things. So we just recently hosted our Unveil the Bride event in the beginning of March, and we just wanted to teach people about how to become the Lord's bride. And through that, we've also done our Dear Heavenly Father prayer conference, which helped us, just talk about how to pray. And, sometimes your prayers do not have to be long-winded. It could be short and sweet. And sometimes you need those long prayers to kind of connect with God. Prayer is a communication. I think that when you talk about um, outside of the pulpit, obviously, I am not a pastor. I'm not a preacher. And I don't believe that that is the Lord's call for me. However, I do believe that there's nothing wrong with teaching people about Christ and sharing your love of Christ, because sometimes when people see your love of Christ, it makes them want to find out who he is.
Absolutely.
I agree with Amber. We really are alike in a lot of ways. So with RAYAC, I hold a monthly Bible study because I truly feel like in these times it's very important to not lose focus on Christ. There's so much happening that we could just lose focus on God. But I hold these monthly Bible studies and I'm very intentional about them because we need somebody to break it down to us as young adults in the church. Sometimes what the pastor's preaching on Sunday is not enough, or sometimes we don't understand it. So I like to open and allow the opportunity for someone to come speak to the young adults, to continue to teach us about the Bible, teach us about God, teach us just how to navigate through life. Personally and through my work, I love helping people. I love serving people. So that's my true calling. I'm always trying to figure out what can I do to help this person get through, even though, like I say, sometimes it could be a lot dealing with people, but I'm always trying to make sure the next person is okay. So that's my ministry, is truly like a servant leader. I love mission. And like Amber said, I love trying to teach people about God.
For myself, as a youth pastor and, being in ministry and going through that whole process, at least for me in recent times, my desire has more so been realizing that for us in our everyday lives, that our life is maybe the only Bible that people ever read. So I try to make an effort, and I'm intentional daily about imparting gospel in very unique and sometimes different and unconventional ways. You know, when I come to work every day, I decree and declare and tell everybody, oh, it's going to be a great day. Today we're going to have a great day. You know, if it's just speaking life into a person, just reminding people of just their worth and their value. For me as a bakery owner, our slogan is that we sprinkle kindness wherever we go. So that means just giving somebody a compliment, you know, just being kind or doing some type of nice gesture, but just really showing like the servanthood of what we do and making sure people know that there's still light and there's still nice people and good people in the world and that we do still exist, and we don't necessarily have to shove a scripture down your throat to be operating in God's word and to be teaching God's word. So
I want to shift the conversation just a bit. It might get a little spicy here, a little hot in here. Um, this is one of my favorite excerpts from Still I Rise. It says, "Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs?" Her words in this portion of the poem radiate confidence and self love. Black women's bodies have historically been hypersexualized or policed, from Sarah Bartman all the way to Sexy Red. So, what does embracing your femininity and your sensuality and even confidence mean to you as a Black woman of faith? And how did you navigate embracing your confidence, your beauty, your sex appeal, and dealing with those societal perceptions? I'm going to start with Raven. I remember the only reason I'm going to start with Raven is because she mentioned being known as the preacher's kid. I'm also a preacher's kid and great grandkid. I have a lot of men in my family in ministry. So I know the societal pressures and the perceptions of being in the church in general, right? We're supposed to be modestly dressed, and they may think that, well, we're taught a certain way in the church, right, about sex. We just stay away from it, not to involve it, but they really don't teach us a whole lot in the church about how to deal with what is natural. So you as women, how did you come into your sensuality as women of faith?
Um, I'm laughing because yeah, as a PK, you're taught to just keep it together. But I had an old school mama, so I'm grateful for her instilling me confidence, instilling in me that you don't have to show it to be seen. Um, so that's just something that's kind of stuck with me throughout my life. Now I don't wear the pantyhose, I don't wear the slips. No, nothing, like it's too hot for that. No, but
We are definitely a new generation of women in the church.
yeah, I'm not gonna be in a hat. Like I'm
Mhm.
not even gonna be in a suit.
Yeah.
Like so so but I have the confidence of knowing, and I have the common sense also to always look presentable. But in the society that we live in, where you are constantly seeing, like you mentioned, the sexy red who's just always showing it, always flaunting it. Just I think we have to learn how to just have a confidence about ourselves. Like I said, you don't have to show it to be seen. Don't allow, how do I say this? Um, let the people see your heart. Let the people see your soul. Let the people see your mind. Don't let them see your body parts. You don't have to get through like that. So you have to walk with that confidence and that boldness, like, hey, I am who I am, but you don't have to see all of this and all of that back there. And I don't have to shake it. And you get what I'm saying? Like I could go on about that because um sometimes it really kind of bothers me. But I don't want to go into that tonight because it's so like it really can bother me that we have young women and young ladies, young girls that just feel like that's what they have to do, and I just want to grab them like the mother of the church and say, no, baby, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Like I say, I'm gonna say it one more time. They don't have to see it to see you.
I agree with what Raven said. They don't have to see it. I can't think of who said the quote, but there was a quote that I used to like read all the time where it says, "Your clothes should be tight enough to show that you are sexy, but loose enough to still show that you're a woman." And I think that that is something that is very vital in this season. We are not teaching our young ladies, again, like she is saying, the importance of how to dress appropriately. Like you can't wear a crop top into an office. And the vice versa. And I think the flip side of that too, as she's saying, with being a preacher's kid or like those of us who have grown up in church all our lives, is also learning that I'm not going to also be in a moo all the time either. Like I want to express my style and still be fashionable and still be like trendy, but still reserved and classy. And that would be the one thing that I would encourage those of us who do dress modest is still make sure you have your identity and be okay with experimenting with your clothes and how you dress and things of that nature, because I think, again, like Raven said, sometimes people will see you in church and think that you just dress this one way, and then they'll see you out somewhere with like Jordans on and they're like, what? I didn't even think you had a pair of those in your closet. And it's like, yeah, like I can still wear what everybody else wears. I'm just more conservative or modest with it. So
And I think like social media plays a big impact on that too, because a lot of people want to mimic what they see on social media. And we know BBLs was a trend at one point in time. Now being fit is a trend. So we have to make our own definition of what beauty is and not allow what society defines as beauty lead us or guide us, because trends are going to change year by year. But as long as you know who you are and you have your own definition of what beauty is, then that's something you can always lean on.
I echo those sentiments. I don't think we need to continue to keep talking about, everybody saying the same thing, but I do feel like as someone who is a modest dresser, um, but who also recognizes that, I am a woman. But I realize that people view me differently because of the positions that I have in life. And, I just want to just, again, echo the sentiments that you all had. And that's it.
I want to know, did your church do anything when you were growing up to discuss sexuality or sex at all? And do you believe the church is doing enough?
They are not. They did not teach me personally, the church that I grew up in. Um, as far as are they doing enough? That's a tough question to answer, because what would be considered enough? Like, how do you teach this person about sex outside of do not have sex until you're married? What is it? What can you tell them that would be the Christian thing to say, but also the realist thing to say?
So this is one of those things that's really like touchy for me, and I'm very passionate about it. As somebody who is 35 years old, still a virgin, waiting for marriage, and all of the things. For me personally, I didn't come to the decision of waiting because of church. Luckily, again, my pearls of wisdom, they were all God centered and God fearing. So we had those types of conversations. Along with me being in private school, we had the conversations about sex and things of that nature to understand the importance of why it is that we wait. And when I think about statistic wise, when it comes to those things of those who are like losing their virginity, those who are staying abstinent and celibate and things of that nature, it is essentially the minority backgrounds that are the first to either lose it. They're the first to have, or essentially we're the leading in teenage pregnancies and things of that nature. And I wouldn't necessarily say that the church is doing a bad job with it. I just think that we have to get better equipped on handling those things, especially in this day and time. For me growing up, I knew the women around me, the church would just say, just don't do it. Right. And for some people that works, like them saying, just don't do it. It scared you enough to where you didn't. But I feel like in this new generation, we're dealing with a generation where the moment you tell them not to, they're asking why. And if you can't give them a why, they're going to go do it to figure out why they should or should not. And I think it's important that the church do break down those barriers and have those conversations. I think sometimes it's just very tough because, it's easy for us to preach to the kids. It's easy for us to preach to the ones that are married, the ones that are adults, but it's hard to preach sometimes to the singles. It's hard to preach to those about abstinence and the importance of it and celibacy and all of the things. But we just have to find a way to push through to have like the uncomfortable conversations. And that's what I try to do at Diamond Air a lot, because I hear so many people say like, if I just met you 10 years from now, I probably would have waited. But because I didn't have anybody around to really kind of talk about those things, I did what I did, and I think we can't I just feel like we can't just let it keep happening because our people perish from a lack of knowledge. So it shouldn't be just the kids who are in private schools learning about this when we have a church and we're supposed to be a refuge and we're supposed to be a lighthouse to help teach on these things. Like, why are we not? So.
Yeah, I know. I grew up in the Baptist church. My father is a Baptist pastor. My great grandfather is also a Baptist pastor. And we talked about it. We talked about it at home. And because my parents were in leadership, they made sure they talked about it in their church because it was happening, right? The church would say, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And then someone shows up pregnant, and then there's evidence that somebody did something. But, the conversation was mostly centered around health. How do we take care of ourselves and preventative things, so I'm appreciative for my church and my upbringing and them not making the conversation awkward, because I think that's how we all become more comfortable with the topic, is that we talk about it more because it's happening, but we absolutely need to discuss it and have healthy conversations surrounding not only just sex, but sexuality. That leads me to our next uncomfortable topic, which is finance. Another favorite excerpt of mine from the poem says, "Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room." So we as Black women oftentimes are the backbone of our families, of our communities, but we still face a significant wealth gap. So despite this, we see more and more Black women embracing financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and wealth building strategies. So, what does financial freedom look like for Black women today? And what steps can we take to ensure future generations have greater economic power? There are many of you who are entrepreneurs on this call, so I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to hearing your response about this. How did it make a difference in your life and your financial stability? Maybe you could just tell us a little bit about your experiences.
I guess I'll go. As far as my steps into entrepreneurship, it was very unconventional. I actually was unemployed at the time, and I was talking to my mom, and I was like, let's just open a bakery. Let's just do it. And she just was looking at me like, girl, you are crazy. No, we're not doing this. And I, of course, got back on a job, but the spark just wouldn't leave me alone. And I kept pestering her about it. And one day, one of her girlfriends came to her and said to her, you know, if you're ever broke, I don't ever want to hear you complain about it because God has given you a gift to make money. So if you're broke, it's because you're choosing to be broke. And that moment on was the catalyst, and we went forward and we never looked back. And I think that's the importance of being an entrepreneur, is that you want to make sure that you're doing something that you truly love and you're passionate about. I think when you go into it with the thought process of, oh, I'm just going to get rich quickly, it's not always that way. And to those who are entrepreneurs on the line, you know, it takes being an entrepreneur, you literally have to depend on you and God. You are actually putting out more money in the beginning than what you're receiving, but it's okay because you know that there is a return on your investment. So my thing to that is I am all for entrepreneurship. Find that thing that you love and you're passionate about and just start small and allow God to continue to grow it, because at the end of the day, whatever business you have is still ministry and it's still God's. So if you lay it before him and allowed you to lead your steps, you will get to the place of prosperity in which you can be and having that financial freedom. But sometimes it just takes a little bit of steps, and just knowing that besides just being the face of it, you know, you are going to be the marketer at times. You are going to be the HR person. You are going to have to be the person that is the cleaner of the business and going and putting your, you know, getting up and working late hours, and knowing that in spite of it all, it's so rewarding and so worth it. And this is definitely the season for women to be entrepreneurs, especially Black women. I've seen so many businesses that have skyrocketed since COVID till now, and there's only up from here. So I would definitely encourage it. If you can start a business, you should definitely do it.
We're absolutely seeing the skyrocketing of entrepreneurship. You know, I even think about the beauty industry and what we're witnessing with the anti-woke movement right now, the removal of DEI from certain, well, all areas at this point coming from the federal government. But Black women have been able to find some sort of financial stability through entrepreneurship. You know, we watched Rihanna with Fenty Beauty. We are now watching Beyonce with Sacred and her hair care line. Even FAMU's on Melissa Butler with the lip bar. And so maybe even Amber can chime in on the beauty industry and how entrepreneurship has impacted you.
So yes, we are seeing a huge surgence of different beauty entrepreneurs, and I may share a different perspective, and this might be a bit controversial, but here we are. So yes, I am a beauty entrepreneur. However, I have decided to close my business because it was not financially smart for me to continue. It does not end because of the fact that let's be honest, people want to go to YouTube University and they want to do things themselves, and they want to come to you and say, well, this is how I saw it on YouTube. Well, this is actually the correct way to care for your hair. And if you are not willing to, come to a professional and just take in everything that they have and the advice that they're willing to give you, you kind of have to go ahead. You have to say, okay, well, you may not be for me, and that's okay. I think right now I am in hmm, I'll say a waiting season. I'm waiting to hear from God what is going to be my next step when it comes to entrepreneurship. Um, I was fortunate enough to be able to utilize my degree. My degree is in public relations, which is how I ended up getting my job now as the strategic marketing manager in the medical quality assurance division. So I'm just super excited to see where the Lord is going to take me there versus where He has taken me and caused me to pivot for the time being in my entrepreneurial journey.
Ladies, I believe we've had an excellent conversation tonight, and it's time that we bring it to a close. I'm going to ask for any final thoughts from you on how we continue this conversation, and how we move Women's History Month forward, women's history forward in general, especially when we're under attack, right? With DEI, women are included in that number as well. And how do we continue the conversation and also include our counterparts, men, as allies? I want to start with Mallory.
So, I think we encourage the men to be allies by just pushing them to speak up for us in these rooms. Encourage them to have our backs and make sure that they're voicing that we are valued in these rooms as well. But also, we have to remember that we are important in these rooms. I know for myself, a lot of times I deal with imposter syndrome. So a lot of times I don't feel like I'm supposed to be in these rooms, or I don't deserve to be here. When in reality, I work for where I am. I deserve to be in that room. And it's up to me to show the people in that room why I'm in the room. So not just making sure the men are allies, but making sure we as women are allies too. A lot of times, we as women, we don't necessarily work well together. We can be each other's worst enemies at times. And a lot of times we see each other as competitors. So once we put that to the side, and I think it was Raven, and we let the gatekeeping go, I feel like we can continue with the growth of women's history, and we can continue to encourage women, and we'll be able to see ourselves in those spaces more because we're uplifting each other, and we are just putting our best selves forward.
Raven, any final thoughts?
Okay. Basically echoing what Mallory said, just as women, just remember that we have a purpose here. God has a plan for all of us, and just not to lose faith and keep focused. Throughout it all, we're going to be thrown obstacles. We're always going to be watched. We're always going to be challenged, but just realizing, like our theme says, still I rise. Just continue to rise above. Um, I don't kind of know how to respond with the men being our allies part right now, but yeah, just know still our rise.
Amber, final thoughts?
I go back to, what is it? Each one teach one, or whatever that saying is, that, in order to keep Women's History Month moving forward, we have to continue to share our stories. We have to continue to, even as we elevate, we have to say, hey, these are the steps that I took to get here, and I'm pulling you up with me. I think as far as allies, um, we all want to feel supported by men and Black men, especially since we're talking about Black women or just women in general. And I think that if we as a Black woman are around a group of men or deal with any men that who are not supporting us, then we have to take an evaluation of ourselves.
And finally, Nikwa.
I agree with everything else that has been echoed, and I would just add on to that for us as women to, in order to keep making history, continue to be in spaces and take room in places where we're not necessarily reflected. Because I think a lot of the times the reason why we don't go into the room is because we don't think that there's a seat at the table for us, but in reality there is. We just have to be bold enough and wise enough to still take that step and go into those rooms, right? Because 80% of success sometimes is just showing up. So I would just encourage us all as women to continue to be bold, continue to be fearless, and continue to go into the rooms where people think that you shouldn't be, or where you feel like it's so outside of what you're used to, just to push forward and make a legacy.
I want to read the final excerpt from the Still I Rise poem before leaving tonight. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. I want to say thank you to Pastor Marvin Bouquet and the St. James AME Church Live Oak for having me as your facilitator tonight for such an important Women's History Month discussion. I want to honor Pastor Bouquet for inviting us all to have a seat at the table and to continue to move this conversation forward. Thank you for finding the value in the conversation and providing this platform for this collective of women. Thank you very much. And I want to turn it back over to Pastor Bouquet.
The people of God said, amen. First
Amen.
of all, thank you to each and every one of you. Your yes was very important, and you said yes, and you delivered. Before anybody gets off the live, I want everybody on Facebook and YouTube, call out your friend, call them out, call out the panelists, call out the facilitator, say their names. Let me tell you, Rayak was in there deep, and Georgia was in here deep. We had over 60 live views on Facebook and YouTube, and I am thankful to each and every one of you. Yeah, I see great conversation from Chiquita. Great conversation. Yeah, Dontavia is calling out Ashleigh. Hey, Irving, I see your comments coming. I am grateful. I'm grateful. I second Mrs. P. Ross. Enjoyed all of you and this talk. Somebody's calling out Nikwas. Brian Reed calling out Ashleigh Irving. Calling out Amber Tooks. I see the comments coming. I am thankful. Your pastor, Nikwas, calling you out. Chaz, Mississippi, for Doris Jackson. Sharon Graham, call out Mallory Ross. I see you coming. I see you. Someone else, Karen Lindsay, calling out Nikwa. I am definitely grateful for all of you. Thank you. As uncomfortable as it was, y'all keep calling them out. I see. I'm trying. Let me put my glasses on. As uncomfortable as it was, you all still did it and you delivered, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I am grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This conversation needs to continue to happen. We know that. Barbara Winston, Ashleigh Irving, that was her student. Yeah, great job, ladies. Love you, Mallory, from Ashley Bryant. You don't recognize that as you all were talking, we realized that this is something that we can't just talk about it. Now we got to put solution to it? How do we be better mentors? Miss Mitchell, Mallory Ross, I see you coming. Juanita Ross Dilworth, excellent job, LS Amber Tooks, great job, panelists. All right. Let's see, excellent job to you, Ashley K. Irving. I think that says Tanya Clark Pugh. That is Mallory's sister. She said she called you out, Mallory. She called you out. Great job, lady. I can't keep up. Great job to all the ladies. That's Bowers. I know who that is. Yeah. Shout out to Raven Gaines. Great job getting out of your comfort zone. Okay. Kimberly B. Amber, great discussion, everyone. Evelyn Smith, great job. Clara Berry, thoroughly enjoyed. Very good panel. Love the conversation. Miss Priscilla Ross, great job. Oh, please. Thank you. God bless you. Doris Jackson, Ashley Irving. Carolyn Jackson, I know Carolyn Jackson. Amber, phenomenal job. Look, you see, they stayed on and they listened. They stayed on and they listened. And I am thankful to you all. Facebook and YouTube, this is not the last time that you will hear from these ladies. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Let me read this from Maria Griffin. While I am especially fond of Nico, all of you are the dream and the hope of the slave. Thank you, St. James AME Church, for providing this platform. God bless. Miss Mitchell, good job, everyone. Connie Collins, great job. Y'all see? The comments are still going. You all were amazing, and I think I can take these off. You all were amazing tonight. Thank you for your yes. Your yes matters. Your voice matters. And if you didn't know that you had an ally, I'm your ally. I do everything in my power. Everything in my power. I'm one person, but I'm trying to get all my brothers to get on with this, that to be the voice and speak up for you. All right? Priscilla Ross said, great job, Mallory. Love you. Okay, Mal, you famous on here. Joyce Freeman, great job, Nicholas. And who else, y'all? And Ashley, do you have any final words before I close this out with prayer?
No, I'm just grateful for you, Pastor Bouquet, just for you finding value in this conversation and trusting us to bring these topics forward and continue to push women's history forward. You know, there was a time where a woman could not leave home without a man. She could not have a job. Now, here we are, a group of women leading in each one of our areas. We have our own, and it is only by the grace of God, just as it tied into the poem, we are the hope and the dream of the slave, and we will continue to rise. So thank you for that. And I will be remiss if I did not say happy birthday to my mother, my number one girl,
What?
Dolores Irving. Happy birthday. I love you.
Happy birthday. Sister Ella Green Cooper from St. James said, great discussion. Happy birthday to your mom. So thank you again. If I had 10,000 tongues, I still wouldn't be able to thank each and every one of you enough. Thank you to all of the men and women that stayed on and watched tonight. Listen, I'm telling you, something big is coming soon. You haven't seen nothing yet. Really, you ain't seen nothing yet. Thank you all. Let's go to God in prayer. God, we thank you. We pause to honor you for what you did tonight. We thank you for each panelist. We thank you for the facilitator. God, your word says before they were formed in their mother's womb, you knew them. You know every hair on their body. You know their thoughts, oh God. God, we pray now that all that they poured out, that you would fill them back up until they overflow. God, bless them like only you can, oh God. Enlarge their territories. God, I'm praying now a special blessing, oh God. Increase on the job, increase in finances, that God, you will bless their relationship, that you would walk with them and you would guide them, oh God. God, that you will protect them, oh God. No weapon formed against them shall be able to prosper. God, I'm praying that you are the peace that surpasses all understanding, that you will regulate their mind, that you will be a heart fixer. God, we love you. We trust you, we honor you, and we adore you in the strong name of Jesus. And everybody say and type amen. guess what, y'all? I love you, and there is nothing you can do about it. Good night, and God bless.